Hello Internets, I'm Zels, the channel is Zelspeak, and this is the second installment in my ESO Group Dungeon Quest and Lore series. You and I are doing all the group dungeons together, and this time it is Spindleclutch 1 in Glenumbra. So welcome to Glenumbra, home of bogs, witches, and deeply insecure kings. And given that we're in Glenumbra, by all rights when I fling myself off this cliff here in a moment, my spirit should hang around the edge for eons, luring innocent travelers to their doom. Just like I do when I run guild events. If you watched the first installment in my Group Dungeon Quest and Lore series, Banished Cells, you'll remember that I did a couple of side quests in the area that were relevant to the dungeon story. Spindleclutch is a little different. The area side quests don't directly impact the dungeon story, so we're going to, dare I say, jump right in. So here we are, strolling into a cave that's infested with giant spiders, like that's a thing a sane person would do. And right through the door we find a group of exhausted and injured members of the Fighters Guild. Let's see what's up with them.
You're not from the Covenant. What are you doing here? It makes no difference. We need all the help we can get.
What do you need help with?
We made a terrible mistake. We thought we were clearing out a simple spider infestation. But it's far worse. The Whispers, they never stop. It's maddening. We got out, but our commander, Guardian Sudharim, is still in there.
Oh, honey, are you new? It's never a simple spider infestation.
My fighters are exhausted, but if you push into the caves and clear out the spiders, we'll use fire to destroy their eggs. If Guardian Sudharim is still alive, we need to find him. Just don't listen to the Whispers. They'll drive you mad.
That sounds like foreshadowing. Sure, let's go.
On your feet, you louts. We're going back in.
We must press on. We'll burn these foul eggs after you clear out the spiders.
This story does not directly require that you know the events of the Fighters Guild main quest line, but if you do, it helps fill it out a little bit. The problem is I can't talk about any of that without giving you spoilers. I will mark where the spoilers start, but once they start, it's pretty much just spoiler city from there. There is a surprise at the end of that Fighters Guild quest line, and I am totally going to give it away. While there aren't any directly relevant side quests in the area, there are a couple of lore books nearby that provide some helpful context. The first, Aedra and Daedra, is short, but packed with essential info about Tamrielic ontology, and I'll go ahead and put that up on the screen so you can read that. The second, though, is the History of the Fighters Guild Part 1, and we're going to discuss the lore in that and in History of the Fighters Guild Part 2 as we go through the dungeon.
Who wanders into my web? More playthings?
The events that led to the formation of the Fighters Guild began with the assassination of Raymond Cyrodiil III. Raymond Cyrodiil III was the last living direct descendant of Alessa. He had no heirs. His death marks the end of the First Era and the beginning of the Second Era that we are now in ESO.
Come to me, my pets.
With no Alessan heir to take the throne, de facto control of the Empire fell to Raymond Cyrodiil's closest advisor, Potentate Versidue-Shaie. I'm almost certainly pronouncing that wrong. The Potentate was neither man nor mer, but one of the vampiric snake men from Akavir. Akaviri armies had tried to invade Tamriel before, but had not succeeded, and now one was emperor. The provincial kings and rulers were not at all excited about paying taxes to a vampire snake boy, and in fact they began staging sorties against imperial garrisons. So the Potentate made a decree. Everyone, every province, was to completely disband immediately all standing armies and militia. No one in Tamriel was allowed to have soldiers except for him.
That was a nasty beast. This way, squad.
The provinces threw each other sideways glances and then went to their armories and got out their war banners. And the next period is considered the bloodiest period in Tamriel's history. And that is a big statement. Imperial armies faced rebels on all fronts, and it was a bloodbath on all fronts. In addition to hemorrhaging blood, all parties were bleeding gold too, and all of the coffers bled dry. At the end of it all, everyone was bankrupt, the economy was in ruins, and all the farmers and merchants had their livelihoods destroyed. The Imperial army that remained was a tiny fraction of what it had been in the beginning, but the Potentate had won. His battered troops were the only soldiers left in Tamriel. Everyone was devastated except for one group, the criminals. They threw a party and then went out and did whatever the heck they wanted to do because there was no one to stop them.
Let's keep moving.
I can taste your delicious fear.
No guards, no cops, no functioning justice system, no jails, and no honest jobs. Into this power vacuum stepped, of course, Morak Aviri. Another one of the vampiric snake men, a relative of the potentates, presented a solution. He and his troops would be militia for hire, and they would have no loyalty to any provincial leader. And a portion of all of the fees that they were paid to do whatever they were hired to do would go to the imperial treasury. It solved the problem of a lack of fighters, and it provided income to the empire. That original group, sanctioned by the potentate, were called the Sifim, which is why when you join the Fighters Guild, the dye color that you get is Siffin red. Eventually, non-Akaviri joined the Siffin as well, and local chapter houses sprinkled all over Tamriel. The potentate issued a guild charter to the organization, and its name was officially changed to the Fighters Guild, which was what the locals had been calling it for a long time rather than using the Akaviri word Siffim. The imperial charter for the Fighters Guild led to charters being granted to other organizations, officially recognizing them as guilds, including the Mages Guild, which gained its charter a few years later in Second Era year 320. Potentate Snakeboy ruled for 324 years. He was assassinated shortly after the guilds were chartered.
Burn them all.
My head is pounding. I wonder if we'll ever see the commander again.
We'll get through this. Don't let the Whisperers get inside your head. Fill it with pleasant thoughts.
It's okay, you guys. We can totally save your commander. Just stick with me and we'll be good. Just stick. Not coming. Not gonna. Okay, you guys stay here. Take care of yourselves. ESO is set in the Second Era, about year 580, approximately 250 years since the Snake Boy's assassination. The provinces have militia again, but the potentate's legacy lives on in the guild charters. And it persists in the Fighters Guild's continued independence from a central master or agenda. Neutrality is the DNA of the Fighters Guild. Well, until now.
Kill them all, no mercy.
And we have hit serious spoiler time for the Fighters Guild quest. When you start the Fighters Guild quest, you learn that the previous guildmaster has just recently died, and the new guildmaster, an Argonian woman named Sees All Colors, has given the guild a new direction. She believes that the Plane Meld is the greatest threat facing Tamriel, and she has decreed that the guild will stop taking all other contracts in lieu of fighting the Daedric threat. It's why the Fighters Guild dailies are all dolmens. Each Daedric prince has a home realm that reflects their nature. We've seen some of those. Molag Bal's is Cold Harbor, And we've seen Meridia's, which is called the Colored Rooms. The Argonian name Sees All Colors is not some kind of Pocahontas Colors of the Wind kind of deal. It is a direct reference to Meridia, and it's a clue that that character's true motivations are not exactly what you think that they might be. At the end of the Fighters Guild quest, we learn that Sees All Colors was actually the one who killed the previous guildmaster, and she did it because Meridia wanted an army to fight the Plane Meld. I'm not arguing that that's a bad thing necessarily, but it does mean that for the first time in the guild's history, the Fighters Guild has an agenda and a master, and that master is a Daedric prince. So here we find our first survivor. Let's see how it is that she's still alive in herself.
You're not crazy. You can't be corrupted by the Whispers either?
Not crazy's a bit of a jump, but what happened to you?
All these people you just put down, they were my comrades. Until we came here. This place. The Whispers. It drove them all mad. The few of us that didn't lose our minds were captured and strung up. Speaking of, can you help me down now?
You're sure you're not corrupted?
Meridia protects me. I champion her cause against the Daedra, and she bestows her blessings upon me.
So you think there's a Daedra here?
I don't think. I know. I can smell the thing.
It almost sounds like you're saying Meridia's not a Daedra.
Seed and spleen, that was uncomfortable. I think my tail's gone numb. I can barely walk, much less fight. Go on without me. Find the others who survived. Our leader, Sudarim. I'd bet anything he's still alive. Save him if you can.
No help at all?
I suppose there's one thing I could do for you. A little prayer our comrades used to say before battle. For blood, for glory, for power and might, we of the guild will always fight, for good or evil, day or night. We of the guild will always fight, just so long as the price is right.
That little poem sounds pretty morally dubious, yeah? But that's the neutrality of the Fighters Guild. That actually isn't the weird part. The weird part is that she called it a prayer.
Come to me and to my web. Join me forever.
Not a chant or a spell, a prayer. I'm guessing here, but I don't think the Fighters Guild chant could be used as a spell trigger if Meridia didn't control the guild. In fact, in that vein, let's take a quick look at the ultimate that you get in the Fighters Guild skill line. Dawnbreaker, it's called. Not only does the text directly reference her, but if you have played the solo games, you know that each Daedric prince has an artifact that you can go find, and the artifact associated with Meridia is the sword Dawnbreaker.
You killed them. Those people were my friends. I should have been the one to put down the crazy bastards.
Yeah, sorry you weren't able to do that for them.
Look what they've done to me. The people I knew are gone. There's naught left in them but madness. Madness and the will of the Whispers. I take it you're immune too?
I appear to be, yes.
Fabulous. So fortunate for you. Now, how about you get these webs off me?
So are you sure you're not corrupted?
The others aren't sworn to serve Meridia. She protects her followers from the curses of the Daedra and the undead. Now, how about you get these webs off me? So many dead fools. And me, nearly one of them. I don't think I'll be much use to you in this condition. Go on. Leave me here. There may be others who need your help. And if you find a Red Guard named Sudarim, tell him I'm here. Tell him I'm waiting for his orders. Well, That was rude. Tell you what, there's an old Fighters Guild secret that just might help. Here goes. For blood, for glory, for power and might, we of the Guild will always fight. For good or evil, day or night, we of the Guild will always fight. Just so long as the price is right.
No spoilers, but if you have done the Somerset questline, you know that a representative of her shows up as a direct extension of her will, and he is wielding Dawnbreaker. I also believe that the fact that Meriel is an Argonian woman isn't accidental. I believe she's part of Sees All Colors cult. And while I'm making guesses, Praxton said that they thought that it was a simple spider infestation, but the guild isn't taking regular jobs right now, so who hired them to come be here? And don't you think we've plowed through an awful lot of guild members for this to have been a little side job? So my conclusion is that the order to come here was put out by someone who knew that there was a Daedra problem on site. But that wasn't what they told the troops, because Meridia wants us to go check out Spindleclutch isn't something that they could have said publicly. One more little detail. We are in Glenumbra, the zone where we first meet Darian Gautier. In fact, if you haven't done the zone quest, Darian is just a hop and a skip up the road from Spindleclutch. That may or may not be relevant, depending on who you believe Darian Gautier really is. So let's take a moment and talk about life choices. First, we walked into a cave called Spindleclutch, filled with giant spiders. And now, just look at that. That is a broken bridge scattered across sticky webbing with dead bodies in it. We're going to walk across that. My character does not make the same choices that I would make.
Blood and faith. Are you real? Can you hear me? Please, get me down!
I love it when people ask me if I'm real.
May tall Papa bless you, friend. I thought I'd met my end. Please, get me down?
Are you sure you're not corrupted?
I escaped the curse by the blessing of the great Meridnunda. The whispers, I hear them, yes. But it's like the buzzing of flies, not the madness of men. I think my arm's broken. God's damned whispers! Father! Sudharim! My father's somewhere nearby. I heard him calling to me. At least, I think I heard him. Or was it the whispers? Maybe they're affecting me after all.
Get up, soldier. Let's go find your dad.
I would. I want to. I'm so weak. I've been trapped down here for so long, I can't even see straight. You have to keep going. Find out what this is and stop it. But I'll give you something before you go. A blessing from the Fighters Guild. For blood, for glory, for power and might, we of the Guild will always fight. For good or evil, day or night, we of the Guild will always fight. Just so long as the price is right.
Incorruptible creatures, you dare to defy me? I'll kill you all!
Okay, I gotta admit, I am a total sucker for the strong light and the big dramatic shadow like that. I think it's cool. But that's partly because when I started playing video games back in the year of our Lord 1829, we didn't have moving shadows, and there's still part of me that thinks that's keen. This is what getting old is like, kids. But the other thing to mention here is that life choices again. You and I are about to walk up and punch that thing in the nose, and that would not be my response in this situation. I personally think that nuking it from space is the only way to be sure, but then again, I'm an American. Let's go kill that. Okay, so she's dead. It's dead. Let's go explore the room. There is this door back here. That has got to have something interesting behind it, right? Wait, what do you mean we can't open it? We're at the end of the dungeon. That's sketchy.
was a nightmare. A nightmare.
I'm sorry, but Praxton and the others didn't make it.
I feel so violated. What that thing did to my soldiers. What it did to me. I may never sleep soundly again. Thank you. If you hadn't come along, well, I don't even want to imagine.
So what will you do now?
Now that you've given me back my life, I have much to think about. Maybe I'll take some time to rest before I put together another expedition. The Fighters Guild is in your debt, my friend.
So what do you think that was?
A monster. No doubt some vile beast from the darkest reaches of Oblivion. I can't imagine how it got here, and I have no idea why it would do such things to our soldiers.
How it got here is an interesting question, isn't it? Particularly with a locked door back there that we can't get into. But let's go look at our loot. Now for the loots. As always, there are 3 sets that drop in the dungeon. There's a heavy, medium, and light set. The heavy set is Nightmare. The light set is the Prayer Shawl set. And the medium set is the Spelunker set. And as always, for completing the dungeon in normal, you get a mounted head of a boss to put on your wall. And for the veteran version, you get the bronze bust. In this case, it is, as I said before, the Swarm Mother. Who doesn't want a huge-ass spider head hanging on their wall? And that is a wrap on Spindleclutch 1. Thank you so much for watching. Spindleclutch 2 will be posted at the same time, so you can go ahead and click the links to go through to that one. Before you go, if you had a good time, please click the like button, and if you're not a subscriber, please click the subscribe button. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Zells, the channel is Zellspeak, and until next time, may all your loots be leet.